Let's have a fantastic interview. There was so much to ask and so much to talk about. You first came to prominence, I would say, globally during the lockdown period, or the COVID era, as some people call it. Now, can I ask you, Dr. Shiva, when were you first alarmed at the goings on and the reactions of the American government and the global governments worldwide?
So I was onto this, believe it or not, 2007. You mentioned MIT. My PhD at MIT, Mark, is in a field called systems biology. And in fact, it's in a field on the immune system. So I'm considered one of the leading guys on the immune system. My PhD work at MIT is actually on the immune system and how to understand a very important part of the immune system, which is called the interferon system. So that was in 2007. So I've been involved in medical research, by the way, since I was 14 years old, back since 1978. But the approach that I take, and that's become the much more better way to look at the body as a system, is through what's called a systems approach. And that field really came to being around 2003. It was pioneered at MIT. Medical doctors have no idea of the body as a system. 99.9% of them, unfortunately, their educational system makes them actually pretty dumb. When dumb, they don't know the ankle bone is connected to the foot bone, right? The entire medical school education, and this is a reality, for 2 years, they go through a process where they learn every organ in a very siloed way. They don't know the ankle bone is connected to the foot bone, right? And then the next 2 years, they slog through all this clinical stuff. So it's hard for me to really appreciate doctors, unless they take an engineering approach. Most of them cannot really diagnose anything. They don't even view the body as a system. So this is something that prevented me from actually becoming an MD. So that's why I took my PhD work was a systems approach to understanding the body, right? Fast forward to 2019, I was invited by the National Science Foundation of the United States to give the prestige lecture. They choose one scientist every year to deliver lectures. It's a pretty notable thing. And I was invited in 2019 in November to deliver a lecture on the immune system. Okay.
Yes.
And the immune system, up until recently, was seen just as a system that's just composed of two systems, the innate immune system and the adaptive immune system. All right. And this very rudimentary model of the immune system was the basis of the 1962 Kennedy Vaccination Act, which John Kennedy signed into law, allowing the government to interfere in your body. And it created all the government institutions. Kennedy did that, John Kennedy. And by the way, just to be clear, his other brother, Ted Kennedy, 24 years later, is the one who saved big pharma companies along with other senators. He was a co-sponsor of a bill which protected big pharma. And then Booby Kennedy was the one who further protects big pharma by saying that this corrupt institution is going to create safe vaccines. You see, so the Kennedys have been involved in this entire sham. So I knew all of this in 2019. And I, when I did that work, was invited by a number of the mothers, this is in 2019, who were involved in their kids getting vaccine injured. And I was invited all over the United States to give lectures on educating people on the immune system. And when I gave that lecture in 2019 at the National Science Foundation, in front of around 300 scientists and engineers, and I said, look, the immune system is not just these two boxes. It's much more complicated. It involves your gut, the microbiome, right? The vagus nerve, right? The gut-brain interaction. So to think that a doctor or a government should impose one type of intervention, like everyone should get this vaccine, for that matter, any one medicine on an individual, was absolutely stupid. It was against the principles of personalized and precision medicine. Even Western medicine, I recognize, let's say you have a sickness and I have a sickness, the same sickness. You may need very different things than I need because of our body chemistries, our backgrounds, et cetera. So based on this very complex model of the immune system, which I presented, more than this rudimentary model, I said, it's really stupid to tell everyone should get jabbed. Everyone in the audience agreed with me, Mark. And these were pretty sharp engineers and scientists, 2019. And then I was building many, because that's the scientist part of me. But in 2019, I was organizing and running many protests against the vaccine mandates. Long before COVID, there was vaccine mandates telling a kid he should get 69 vaccines, et cetera. So I was being known as a scientist who would tell the truth, really knew the immune system. Rather than just throwing out slogans, I was coming from an immune approach. Now, so in January of 2019, early January, I had just led a major protest in New Jersey against the vaccine mandates before COVID. So on January 6th, when I saw this vaccine mandates or COVID hit and this quote unquote pandemic, I said, wow, they're up to something. They actually are against this growing movement against vaccine mandates, because I was already part of that movement. Sure. And then when I saw Fauci was involved in this, I had known Fauci's history since 1993, okay?
Yes.
When I was a graduate student at MIT, Fauci Fauci was the one who had saved a guy called Robert Gallo, who's the one who did the entire AIDS scam. And Gallo was, this is in the 90s, was shown to have committed academic fraud. And Fauci came and saved his butt. So when I saw Fauci is involved in this, I said, this guy's a complete moron. So I knew it like that. And so I was the first one who did a tweet who said, when they imposed the whole pandemic, I said, this is going to be the beginning of mandated medicine, imposing censorship and destroying the economy. I called it back then because I could see what they were up to, Mark, because I take a system approach, because I'm an immune systems guy, and I'm hands-on. And that was in March of 2020. You can go find that tweet. That went viral. I think it got like tens of millions or hundreds of millions of views and retweets and things like that. And then after that, I ran the Fire Fauci campaign. That was in May of 2020. Hashtag Fire Fauci. We, in fact, invited Fauci to a debate. I don't think I'm in the Farm League. I got my PhD at MIT. I've written on the immune system, was invited. He didn't show up. So we did a mock debate, which you can find on the internet. We had someone answer the questions that he would do and how I would answer them. It's quite interesting. And then in March 23rd of 2020, I wrote to Trump and I said, do not shut down the economy. Focus on boosting people's immune systems. There's no reason to shut down the economy. Maybe those people who are pre-existing conditions, maybe those people you think have or already have COVID, you can quarantine them. But the rest of us, 99% of us, should just boost our immune system. He didn't listen to it because he's part of the big pharma racket too. And we can come back to that. But the reason I knew this, Mark, was because I'm an engineer. I'm a scientist who studies this stuff. Robert Kennedy in March of 2020, remember this well, he was promoting lockdowns. Okay. And there's a tweet. He was saying lockdowns are going to stop the spread of COVID and save the environment and climate change. Trump was promoting lockdowns. Every single one of those guys is running against president now. All of them were promoting lockdowns, mandates, or all three of them. Okay. So this is why we live in a world right now. You can't trust all these guys because they're part of the establishment. 2 years later, they may sing a different song. Russell Brand, another fool, was promoting lockdowns. Okay. So now it's in vogue to be anti-establishment because you make money off of it and you get conservatives to follow. So there's a whole psychological operation now taking place of these fake people who are really part of the establishment. Now it's in vogue to be anti-establishment and behave as though you're the one who's being attacked. When March 2020, my view, Mark, was that's when the men should have done or the women should have done the manly or womanly deeds. That's when the heroes should have arisen. And I was the one, a lot of the stuff I did went, like to your point, went viral then because people saw me not only saying the right thing, but also teaching people the science and educating people. In fact, in February of 2020, I'd gotten a call from the White House because they'd seen my videos I was doing on the immune system. One of the leading economic guys on the White House Council said, Dr. Shiva, I saw your video. Please don't share who my name is, but Trump is not listening to us. He's blindly following Fauci and we're going to destroy our economy. So that was the reason that I did those videos. No one paid me for those videos. You may remember I did 2 to 3 videos every night, educating people on the immune system. And then I was running for office too, for US Senate. And it was a very interesting convergence because I was exposing Fauci, teaching people about the immune system. I was running for US Senator in Massachusetts, was the one who discovered the election fraud systems, again, as an engineer, exposed all of that. And for exposing that, I was thrown off Twitter by the government, contacting Twitter, because I was the one who had discovered that the government has an unholy alliance of social media companies and the entire architecture. So it was quite an important time, but I think credit is deserved to what I did and the movement that we built, because we talked about this when it mattered. And all these grifters right now, Mark, we're concealing it. Tucker Carlson, I call him, Tucker Carlson. Concealed all of this. Glenn Greenwald concealed it. They waited for 2 years. So the big lesson to learn here is delayed truth is deadly. And some of these people intentionally delayed the truth because they're part of the intelligence network. And that's what we educate people now at Truth From Health. We've got to educate people to understand that the psychological operation that's being played is not only by the obvious establishment, but the not so obvious establishment. You see, the people who are now, though they're helping us when they were all part of this racket.
So what you're saying there's a lot in what you've just said. And thank you for speaking so eloquently and accurately on the situation. But you've just raced right through the gears to the chase. You're cutting to the chase. And I guess the time is to cut to the chase.
Those in power want to entertain people so we don't build our own bottoms-up movement. They want to distract us from our own power, everyday citizens. And this is like the heart of the whole thing. You peel away all the onion, you come to this point. The entire goal of those in power is to make sure we don't understand the system dynamic, which is what we teach at Truth From Health. We don't figure that out. And we don't the goal is to stop us from becoming heroes and leaders, to always outsource it and distract us. So they do this distraction in two ways. One, they own the mass media, and then they own these entertainers who are basically entertainers. Okay. Who gets to be an entertainer is someone who actually has, or who gets promoted on the major media, Mark, or people who are typically vile scumbags. If you look at their
And in
history,
the UK, it couldn't be clearer. Look at Oxford and Cambridge. Look at the number of notables from Oxford and Cambridge, the leading lights in every function of the world. That's
right,
absolutely correct.
right.
And we know you have some experience of Oxford and Cambridge. That's correct, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cambridge Society. So you know a little bit about these characters.
Yeah, I think the key thing to understand is that the entire system promotes people. It creates its proxies, knowing they have stuff on them, dirt on them. No one is promoted out there. So they knew, you just look at the work of Russell Brand, he's a complete doofus. He's disgusting. Now, so they have the crap on him. If he steps a little bit out of line, so first they promote this guy as though he's some entertainer, and he's not that good of an entertainer anyway. So they own that and they make money off that character. But they have all this crap on all these people. Then when they step out of line, they do a double whammy. Then they make them a martyr, a fake martyr. So we again are saying, oh my God, poor Russell Brand. Why poor Russell Brand? He's made millions of dollars being part of the swarm. And he's not going to do anything anyway for you or I. Anything he's doing is to use this anti-establishment rhetoric to further aggrandize himself. And we as the masses need to recognize that he's not going to do anything because he came from the swarm and he's distracting us to get involved in this liberal conservative dialectic. And this is what people need to recognize. He is not one of us. He is a vile scumbag. His vile scumbagness may be coming out. And for us to feel sorry for him, for us to feel sorry for Trump, for us to feel sorry for any of the elites is really the distraction. And we should just say, let them keep themselves alive. We don't care.
Yeah, we know. I know it is a distraction, but on the legal context of due process, he is entitled to that. As the media, the reaction that they've taken to him, we've put his case and Hunter Biden's case next together. So that's how we attach. We're saying, look at Russell Brand, look at Hunter Biden, the contents of his laptops out there in public domain, how it was suppressed by the secret services all through the election. Now you're saying you've got scumbag 1 and scumbag 2.
Who cares?
We're saying we're actually shining a light on it so people can see that the Hunter Biden case and even Joe Biden's publicly, doctor, there's footage of Joe Biden molesting children out there. And
so let's talk about that. Let's talk about this.
Amnesia.
We're getting into something that I've written about before called media dynamics. Okay. The issue is what gets visibility. And I would posit to you that this is all theatrics. It's all theater, because when Trump gets indicted, he raises money. The next day they want to impeach Joe Biden, he raises money. Okay. Both sides are running theater, Mark. That's what they're doing. So Hunter Biden gets whatever happens to him. That gets a lot of video views. That's in front. Everyone makes advertising on those stories. But you could argue that what's up with Jared Kushner? He got $2 billion from the Saudis, and that story isn't there. He has better public relations. Okay. So you have this phenomenon of these wealthy swarm families who have all sorts of crap in their background. At different points, it gets released to the news media. It becomes news. The news companies play it for 24/7. It becomes the news of the day. They're all scumbags. But if you put Hunter Biden and you put Jared Kushner, and this guy got a $2 billion loan from the Saudi government, right? Maybe he doesn't have the drug stuff. Okay. Maybe he has better face cream that he uses. Maybe he has better dentistry. Okay. Hunter Biden doesn't have that. Okay. No. The reality is when you put them, both of them, they both profited from their familial connections. Jared Kushner's father, pretty disgusting human being. He hired a prostitute to blackmail his own brother-in-law, and Trump pardoned him. He didn't pardon any of the January 6th people, you see? So the way I look at this is we have to look at it from a perspective of what is the intention of this entertainment? Who is profiting from this? And what are they distracting us from? I bet you I could go through every one of these elites and I could create a story. All right. Tucker fucker Carlson in October 30th of 2020 said, please go light on Hunter Biden. I don't know if you know this. Why?
I don't know that.
Because Hunter Biden and Tucker Carlson are friends. They go to the same equestrian shows. Their wives hang out at the same clubs. So once in a while they have some stuff. They let the safety valve out. It's good entertainment. Hunter Biden's probably going to get a book deal. He'll make another 8 million, 10 million bucks. These guys are playing a racket.
Trump will never go to jail. In your estimation, there's no way Trump will go to jail.
And even if he does go to jail, what I'm trying to tell you, it's all theater. And I can prove to you it's theater, because if you look at all these people in the swarm, and I'll give you this example. There's a guy called Ari Emanuel. Do you know who he is?
No.
Ari Emanuel, look him up. ARI is a brother of a guy called Rahm Emanuel. RAHM. Rahm Emanuel was the chief of staff for Obama. Their brother, okay? And Rahm Emanuel ended up becoming the mayor of Chicago. Rahm Emanuel, Ari Emanuel, they're all from the Zionist clique, okay? All right. And they have another brother too. Ari Emanuel owns the biggest Hollywood agency in the world, which was formerly William Morris Agency, now called Endeavor. That agency, if you want to be an A-list actor in Hollywood, Mark, you better be signed up with Hollywood. So he owns pretty much every Hollywood actor. They have golden handcuffs. Sure. Guess what Endeavor also owns? They also just bought the worldwide wrestling entertainment, which is other crazy entertainment to distract the masses. Fake wrestling.
Bread and circuses. It's been used for decades.
Exactly. But I'm saying, but this is one person who owns WWE. He also owns UFC, boxing. So for the people who want to get distracted by people beating each other up, people doing fake fighting, and they have Hollywood. But guess what? He's also the agent of many of these people. He's the agent for Trump, the former agent. He was the agent for Obama. So think about one individual can decide your future, Mark, on how much visibility you get, right? And Elon Musk was supposed to be part of Endeavor's board. And Joe Rogan is the client of Ari Emanuel. All of these people are owned. They're entertainers. And once you look at it from that perspective, you have almost an eagle's eye view of what's going on. This is entertainment. They make money off theater, and they don't really fucking care. One day, Tucker may put on his face. The next day, him and his wife, they're calling Hunter Biden up. Oh, Hunter, can you give me a recommendation letter for my son to go to Georgetown?
Now, you're running for president as an independent candidate, Dr.SHIVA. That's correct, isn't it?
Yep.
So with a system that is so toxic as it is, and also the electoral system in the United States has a lot to be desired as well, especially when it comes to mail-in ballots. Do you think you're going to get a fair shake at the election?
Yeah, so let's look. I was the one who exposed the mail-in ballot signature verification process and the chain of custody. Again, let's not look at one slice in the movie. Let's look at the overall thing.
Sure.
You look at it from a systems perspective. I know the election fraud that was committed to me, Massachusetts, because we won that election. But the election fraud actually occurs before the election fraud. The real election fraud, if the election is here, what occurred the 2 years before the election? Who got to get visibility on TV? Yeah. Who got to get on the debate stage? Who gets the interviews? Okay. Who gets anointed to be a candidate? All of this is fixed up here. At the end of the election, they're just doing minor tweaks, Mark. Okay, we really don't like that guy, but they've already decided of the pool of potentially very amazing people. They said these are the anointed people. So that's where the election fraud takes place. And then they run this thing called a bourgeois democratic process saying, oh, voting is the way you change the world. I never voted at all because when I was 17, I figured all this out, how you have to build bottoms up movements. So I've always been an activist on the ground. I'm a big, not only a believer, all the scientific evidence points to anything that has ever occurred of significance in humanity has come from bottoms up movements. All right. Yeah. So why am I running in an election? Why? Because what I realized was it is a great opportunity if you have a movement, which is what we have. If you're simply running for election under this illusion that you're going to get into Congress and you're going to change the world, you're delusional. But if I have a movement that I've created over the last 50 years, really, it's exploded over the last 3 years. Since 2020, we have 500 million people who know about us. We now have an educational program. We train people about truth, freedom, and health, why you need to mobilize a movement. We've created a leadership program. So we have a global movement now, close to 500,000 people all over the world. If we have that movement, now when I run for office, we know there's no way a guy like me could get ever elected with their fraud, beginning to end. But if I were ever to be elected, it would be revolutionary, and it could only occur with a movement, okay? So to us, this is an extension of our movement. We're the tip of the spear of this movement. And our movement is about engaging people to say, for the last 70 years, you've gotten into your head that you should vote for the lesser of two evils. And that's what they've done. The lesser of two evils, as I've shared repeatedly in many of the things, and I can bring that up for you. If people go to shivaforpresident.com, I'll bring this up. So if people go to Shiva for President, this is our website, there's a very important section here called free downloads. And in this section, we have this very nice flyer, Mark, that we encourage people to download and print. We'll have, before the end of 2024, 50 million of these handed out. What does this flyer say? This flyer says the lesser of two evils is killing your children. The left column of this very simple flyer gives the right problem, gives a solution. And this graph says a lot here, Tom. This graph says between 1970 to 80 till today, the US life expectancy has been going upside down. And it's not because of COVID. This has been occurring for a long time. It's a systems problem. It's because of the food. It's because of the healthcare conditions. It's because of stress. It's because of income inequality. But all of those things I just mentioned are the outcome of policies of the swarm of left and right, Democrat and Republican, all of them. And when you look at that graph, you have to, it's a big wake-up call. So if you're going to, and by the way, the average, the life expectancy of your child in the United States is going to be less than yours. So how can you say the elites are doing a good job? You'd fire all of them, right? But what is a gray line is the rest of the industrialized nation. And you can see the curvature. I look at trends and you look at the curve, the second second derivative of this curve, and you see it's going this way. So this shows that we have a systems problem. That is a campaign. That is what a president should be doing, educating people the directionality of where the country is going. And this is the directionality. Your child's lifespan is going to be less. And then we offer actual solutions. I invite everyone to go to truthfreedomhealth.com. We've created the curriculum. We've created a community. We've created the technology, the framework. So everyone on the planet, you don't have to go to MIT, can learn the science of systems so you can become your own leader, your own hero in your community. So you don't waste your time on Russell Brand or your local politicians. Truthfreedomhealth.com. And our slogan is we must shatter the swarm. Okay. That's the first thing. The other things for those people who are watching our presidential campaign, you can go to shivaforpresident.com and you can download that flyer. And that flyer is valuable anywhere. Print it and hand it out to your friends. Educate people with that singular thing that they're destroying the life expectancy of your children. It leads people to understand who is the swarm and what we must do. And that's at shiva4president.com. So that's what I want people to do. I know you're going to sign up.
Excellent. We'll sign off now and we'll also leave all the links. Oh, we've got a late star appearing into the shot there. We've got your campaign manager coming in. Listen, Dr. Shiva, thank you very much again for appearing on
My
Heard
dogs
Media
are getting
TV.
restless. You can see they're here.
I can see that they're getting restless. They know what time it is. And we'll talk to you in the near future, and all the best with the campaign. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Shiva.
Be well.